the result of this game influence your level of interest in coaching the NFL?
No idea about that. Couldn't be more happy to be here. This is a tremendous scene. They do everything big in Texas, and this is cool. This is right where we want to be, Heather. This is where we work to get there.
I understand you're one track focus on this, but people are wondering about the future of Michigan's football program. You're obviously a big part of that, and I know the administration wants you back. Have you told them and assured them that you will be here after the season?
Yeah, there's a calendar. I'll gladly talk about the future next week, and I hope to have one. How about that? A future? I hope to have. Thank you.
Take our next question right ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're so right. I mean, so many things have to go right, and I congratulate Washington, undefeated, taking on all comers. You know, I can see why they've won all their games. I mean, they're an outstanding, thorough, solid football team in every way. They got a quarterback that has the it factor. So do we. You know, we got a quarterback with the it factor, and a really good team in all phases. You know, just what makes it so exciting to be playing in this game. I feel like, you know, if you're going to be the best, then you got to beat the best, and we look at Washington as a great football team. But I mean, anything that obstacles, overcoming thing. Yeah, we've done a lot of that, but I mean, sometimes the obstacles are the way, you know. And for it's just been fun. It's just been describing going to work every day and being around a guy like J.J. McCarthy. It's a blast. Being around a guy like Blake Corum, I mean, it is inspirational. Being around a guy like Junior Colston, also inspirational. You know, if he can do it with really one half a hand, he's got a half a hand. Most people got two. He's playing with a half a hand out there, and had 10 tackles last week. I mean, if he can do it, then hey, I can do it. You know, I can be resilient. I can be you know, give it my very best. Mike Samra still, you know, guys at the level of, I take great inspiration. Donovan Edwards, his personality, it's a blast to be around him, to go to practice and work every day. So maybe it all sounds however it sounds, but I'm having a blast.
Coach, you heap a ton of praise on J.J. McCarthy. You just did right there. Given the way modern offenses are built around the strengths of their quarterbacks, why is the passing game not a bigger part of this offense, considering how you feel about J.J.?
I think it's a pretty darn big part. 3 touchdown passes last week. You know, well over 200 yards. I think the thing that makes him great is he's so talented, so athletically gifted, but mentally he's so sharp. I mean, you have to be sharp as a coach to keep up with him, because I mean, he comes into those meetings prepared. He's already looked at the cut-ups. He's already looked at the games. You can reference a cut-up, and he knows it. He's already previewed the game plan. I mean, Kirk Campbell, I mean, he is on his game. Kirk Campbell is a football guy, great coach. But in order to stimulate JJ, Kirk's got to be on the cutting edge too. I mean, if you want to be on the cutting edge, you got to be razor sharp, and they both are. And it's just a blast to be around.
Jim, what is your typical game week like in coaching beyond addressing the team? Do you duck into meetings, team planning, everything like that? I'm thinking about the 4th down play against Alabama. Was that you? Was that Sharon? How much flexibility was there?
I mean, it's just a big team effort. Good thing about being a head coach, you get to coach anybody, everybody, mostly with the quarterbacks, and the play calling in the past game what Sharon did as a play caller, I mean, he got our favorite plays off the sheet, and he called them at the right time, and never better than that 2-minute drive and then into overtime. Jesse Minter had I switch over and listen to Jesse call the game, and he's incredible. Two great callers of the game, and Sharon Moore and Jesse Minter.
Coach, this team has gone through a lot of adversity this season. How would you describe the fight in this team?
It's been great. I mean, it's been a blast just to be around the team every single day. I mean, these are like 1-year cycles, 365 days. You're looking at a true calendar. As soon as the season ends, last year, I can think about J.J. McCarthy watching the celebration at the semifinal game. I mean, it really began there, and we had spring practice that started about 5 weeks after that game last year. The winter cycle, the summer cycle, the spring cycle, into training camp. So it's a full year, and to watch our guys just with how they've gone about their business, really inspiring, as I said earlier. Really proud of our guys, but bottom line, it's just been a lot of fun.
Ladies and
it's been a
gentlemen,
blast.
please stand by as Michigan players rotate podiums.
Jim, at 26-1, JJ is the second highest winning percentage as a starter behind Chuck Ely at Toledo in the 60s and 70s. Your dad coached 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was just curious, what do you know about Chuck Ely, and what do you think about 35-0? Did that boggle your mind?
Yeah, Chuck Ely. I know that name. I could have told you that. He was somebody that was talked a lot about in the house growing up when we were kids. My dad was a secondary coach. But yeah, what JJ has done is remarkable. And people say he preys on him and things like that. I mean, I think I'm hitting it right down the middle of the strike zone. That he's a great football player. Got the it factor in every way, and so does Mr. Penix. I look at them both. Great quarterbacks, elite talents, and they both got that it factor. As did Chuck Ely.
Back over here, Coach.
Coach, last time you were in a championship game, the lights went out. So you had a chance to find the breaker box at NRG. And how does this week compare to Super Bowl week for you?
Very, very similar. Very similar comparison to Super Bowl week. It's got that same feeling. I mean, it's what you're striving for. Just to be simply known as world champions or national champions. That's what you're going for.
Jim, wanted to go back to the point you made about heaping praise on JJ. You bring up the name Tom Brady a lot when you talk about JJ. For a lot of players, that might be, a comparison that intimidates them or something. Why do you feel comfortable, talking about the greatest quarterback of all time with your guy who's in his third year of college?
Well, Tom's been great to JJ. I mean, Tom and JJ talk and communicated some great nuggets to JJ, and simply what I said was I think JJ is the best college quarterback in the history of Michigan football. College quarterback. A long way to go to get to where Tom Brady is, which is the greatest of all time. Tom Brady is the greatest football player of all time. He's lapped the field. A full lap. Now, JJ got a long way to go to get to that. But in terms of, I think of who's the best college quarterback in the 144-year history of Michigan football, I'm nominating J.J. McCarthy. Now, I'm not the maker of that list, but, that's my opinion.
How do you feel to be Alabama and Ohio State in the same season?
Pardon?
How how it feel to beat Alabama and Ohio State in the same season?
Felt good. Feels good. Now we got one more to go. One more game to go, one more phase line to get to, and the team's in a good spot. Very loose and focused, ready to roll. Thank you.
Jim, when you talk about that flight back to Ann Arbor from the Rose Bowl, how much did you allow yourself to enjoy that moment, that game, before the switch flipped, so to speak, to the Washington game?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a happy flight. I just go happy flight. Get around all the guys. You kind of walk up and down the aisles a little bit. I mean, talk about the game, ask guys questions. It's just celebrating. It's really, just fully celebrating that feeling. Then you kind of. Then after a couple hours, I kind of just drinking a Diet Coke on ice and just reflecting on it, taking it all in, and then I don't know, about 6 hours to answer your question. It's usually about 6 hours for me, and then start thinking about the next game.
Jim, when last season ended at TCU and J.J. McCarthy said, "We'll be back, I promise," or whatever, from that point to now,
not whatever. That's what he said.
Right.
That's what he said, Bob. He said, "We'll be back," and here he is.
If you heard that,
not whatever. He said it and did it and brought that to life. That's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't mean to end or whatever, but when that happened, did you see the same thing? And what did you think would be the biggest obstacle?
Yeah, it's just like anything. There's resolution, but then the resolution without repetition is meaningless. What I saw was the repetition daily, weekly, monthly. I knew he was on a mission. I knew Blake Corum was on a mission. Trevor Keegan, Zinter, Mikey Samerstill, Mike Barrett, Junior Colson, Colston Loveland. Then a group of transfers came in that just fit in right away. That were so tremendous for our team. So it was the repetition that and the focus, and the goal, which they were trying to achieve. That okay, this is good. This is cool. This is a blast. I love being around this, and let's just keep having at it. Let's keep doing it.
Hi, Jim. So last week you got to match up with Saban, one of the all-time greats. And now you get a guy that far less high profile than Nick. You don't know a lot about him. What do you know about him? As you go against him this week on Monday.
Yeah, Coach has done a tremendous job. Did a tremendous job at Fresno State. Taking that program, right away. You got to be impressed with how fast it's happened. It takes a lot of people, years to, turn a program or flip a program, and he's done it in such a short time. I think he's just a rising star in the profession, without question. He is a star. He's not a rising star. He's a shining star. When you're able to accomplish like that, that's a shining star. And I put very little into what people say, but what people do. Your actions speak so loudly that can't even hear what people are saying. His actions they're there. They're the actions. They're the record, and been very impressive. Shining star.
When you're watching film with Michael Penix, what's the scariest thing that he does? What keeps you up at night about him?
Yeah, the it factor that he has. He just got it. Next, unconscious. No conscience. He's got no conscience when he's throwing one of those balls into the tightest window, and the confidence that he can put it in there, and his receivers are going to make a play. That's scary good. And as good as he is in the pocket, he's he's deadly out when he gets out of the pocket too. I mean, in either direction, that's it's formidable. It's elite, and he got the it factor. And he's got great arm talent. You can tell he's a really cerebral guy. I mean, he knows he's got and the next thing I would say is the real clock he has in his head. I mean, he gets in trouble, boom, it's coming. It's going to a check down. He just sees the field, knows where everybody is at all times. So that's a exciting matchup for our secondary. I mean, we think we got a really good one. And then it's got to coordinate with the pass rush, discipline to keep him in the pocket, because he's deadly outside the pocket too. So all those things. Excited about the challenge. This is, to be the best, you got to beat the best. All those things are what I think.
Coach Reagan, all due respect, there were some who thought Bama and Texas would be here today. Can you speak to the strength of the Big Ten Conference and what this game says about the conference future?
No real thoughts about that. No real strength. I mean, yeah, things I don't know. I mean, just really just thoughts about defending Washington's offense, moving the ball, getting the 3-tech blocked, most of my thoughts are. It's a great question, though. I mean, cool question. I just haven't thought that much about that question.
Coach, you mentioned about the cooperation of your staff and the players. This team looks like this season it was built on trust just because of the fact that what was going on off the field didn't affect them on the field. Just talk about this team's trust in each other and the coaching staff to get to this point. Yeah, it was just a choice. I mean, it's been a choice all along. Choice to trust each other. Choice to really come together as a ball team. Choice to be unselfish. Choice to be a team player. And it really had nothing to do with what was going on at all. It was more about the choice our guys were making. Choice to unanimously support each guy. On the field, off the field, same kind of support they get at home from their parents and their family members. But you can trust and know it's going to be unanimous from your teammates too. In a tight spot in training, you're in a tough spot in a practice or a game. You have a teammate or teammates that are going to have your back and spot you in a lift, get you through a tough workout. It's that kind of unanimous support that our team has for each other, and unconditional would be another U word I would use that makes up, who our guys are.
Jim, when last season ended, your players clearly felt they could be back here. When did you think it was possible? And was there any point where you thought in a game or whatever that it could possibly not happen?
Yeah, I thought it was possible. I mean, right then and there, right when we walked off that field, right when JJ said we would be back, I thought it was possible. And then, to watch the repetition every day of what our guys were doing, how they went right back to work. As I said, I mean, what you do speaks so loudly that we can't even hear what you're saying. What our guys do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis speaks so loudly.
Coach, what's the difference between the fun level and the time management level between coaching in the NFL and college, if you could compare and contrast?
I don't have that list in front of me. I don't have that list.
Jim, you're far up on the
current state of college football? I mean, there's a lot of changes with teams going to different conferences, transfer portal, NIL, just a lot happening at the same time.
A lot.
Your thoughts on that, Jesse?
Yeah. Once again, I mean, no real thoughts on the state of college football. No question. There's been, it's evolving. A lot of changes, are happening. I mean, the one I can't figure out is why the players aren't sharing in the revenue. Why that change hasn't occurred. People come to watch the players. They really don't come to watch the coaches. They don't come watch the administrators. They come to watch the players. And in a world where the revenue is ever growing, the student athletes being able to participate in that ever-growing revenue, who could argue against that? And when is that going to change? When is everybody going to start using their voice to say, hey, this is wrong. This isn't right. I mean, there's guys that are out here. I mean, they're not even getting paid minimum wage. And I'm not talking about just football players. I'm talking about all student athletes that need to participate. The talent, needs to participate in the ever-growing share of the revenue. I'd like to see that change. We've seen a whole conference go into a portal. If that can open, if those kind of things can happen overnight, things that we saw this year, I mean, they just happen. Then, and I don't know how the sausage gets made completely, but there's a lot of smart people that know a lot about revenue sharing, know a lot about how those algorithms and economics work, and the real issue is there's no voice for the players, and the organizations, conferences, universities, NCAA, they're well represented. They have legal firepower at every angle, and the student athletes they don't have a voice. They're not represented in any way, and that needs to change too. But like I said, if stuff can happen this quick, like we've seen this year, then I'm hopeful that that there's a wrong that can be righted quickly as well.
On that note, because there isn't revenue sharing, all the schools have had to use this, NIL, and then there's NIL, people using it as paper play or basically like that. Every program's had to navigate in a certain way. I'm curious how you feel with how Michigan has navigated NIL has contributed to you maintaining a good culture in the locker room, even though there is money floating around.
Yeah, and people do say that. I mean, they say NIL and that's cool, but guys are working for that. I mean, they're working for that. I mean, they're in a lot of ways. I mean, you got to be a pitchman. You gotta go do something, but they're really already earning it. With what they're doing on the field. I mean, there used to be a saying. Old coaches, I remember my dad's used it, my brothers used it. Hey, we're all robbing the same train here. Coaches, administrators, media, television stations, conferences, NCAA. Yeah, and the ones that are really robbing the train, the ones that could really get hurt, or are getting a very small piece. So yeah, that needs to change too. That needs to change. And it's one thing for somebody to say, well, they're getting NIL, but they're not. I mean, the billions that are being generated, they're not getting much of, very small percentage.
We need to take a break real quick.
They're getting the same amount as I got in the 80s. You're getting a scholarship, room, board, books, and tuition. So it's like, come on, man, let's do the right thing here. And who is that voice? I don't know that. Who's the voice for the student athletes? But you got the organizations that are really fighting for their share and their piece, and it's time to share. I mean, I would say this. I mean, I'll say it this way: anybody that's profiting off of the student athletes right now, myself included, coaches, somewhere between 5 and 10%. Take 5 to 10% less. That'd be go for any administrator, any coach, any conference, any university, NCAA, 5 to 10% less, and then maybe a 10% tax from the television station more into one pot for the student athletes. Maybe that's a start. A way, but some conversation here on how to get it done, because I don't know if people know this, but I've been told maybe 17% it's going up. The TV contracts are going up another 17% next year. So ever growing, ever increasing revenue that it'd be right for the student athletes, not just football, all student athletes to share in.
The mental health of your staff. When you look at the offseason, the new calendar that college football is dealing with right now, what steps do you take, or how important is it to make sure your coaching staff gets time with the family, gets home at a reasonable time, especially during the busy season and summer and whatnot? All together, mental health capacity of the program.
Yeah, getting home, being with the family. I mean, it's what I do. I mean, I recommend they do the same thing. I mean, I'm either at work or doing something with the family. They're my two great loves, really. The family at work and the family at home.
Which I know was more of a storyline last year, but how much of an impact does Michi still have on this team, and how often do you think about it?
Very much, yeah. Michi's mom and grandma visit us. They visit us pretty regularly, and Michi's got a son we get to keep an eye on and be involved with. So it's still. We knew it as soon as we met Michi. That was going to be. We're going to be connected for a long time.
Coach, a lot of your players around here have been talking about, Michigan against the world or Michigan against everybody. What does that mean to you?
I think I started seeing that about a couple years ago. Michigan, Detroit versus everybody. That Michigan versus everybody T-shirts. It's a cool slang. Just cool. Like I'm one of those guys who likes cool sayings too, and I like that one. Wish I would have come up with it. Is my last thought on that.
Back to the revenue sharing thing. I think maybe a lot of people don't grasp just the time commitment that college athletes put into their sport, and just wondering your experience around the NFL, how that compares, to just a professional player.
Yeah, I mean it's school. I mean, what the college players have is school, and their football career. But it's a lot of time. It's 20 hours a week for the, and that's just countable activities. That's on the field, in the weight room, or in meetings. But guys are doing a lot. That get injured. For rehab and back and forth to class. It's a lot. No, they don't. The college players don't spend as much time as the pro football players do. I mean, that's like you're there 8 to 5, as a player, 8 to, and then they're doing extra. Our guys do extra. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's more of the fact that there's a lot of people profiting off the backs of student athletes, and and they do a lot of work to kind of to keep it from them. You know, it's like all kind of rules, and have been doing it for a long time. And it's, if things can change as they've changed so quickly, you know, in college athletics, just this year, just in 2023, I mean, it's seen so much change, including a whole conference going into a portal, you know, then you're hopeful. I mean, you're confident that you know, this is something that could change rather quickly. You know, with the right voice, with the right people talking about it. You know, with you know, eventually someone to speak for the players. You know, they need that, and that's missing right now. But just confident it can happen. You know, if other things can happen this quickly, then why can't that? Why not? You know, when is the time? Time seems like it's now.
We're here with Jim Harbaugh now, and Jim, one of the, you know, you're a Michigan man, you played here, came back, knows what this means for the alma mater. What would it mean to deliver a national championship to Michigan with this team?
Oh, the best part is just what it means for each guy on the team, each player on the team. You know, that their families can say, you know, my son's a champion. My son's a national champion. You know, for the grandparents, the relatives, brothers and sisters, to say, you know, my brother's a national champion. I feel the same way with my kids. You know, for their, you know, for them to be able to know their dad's a champion, or my wife to know their, you know, husband's a champion. It's really for everybody else, and that's what makes it so much better. Is it's just so many people involved that you know, get to reap the reward of that.
There's been so much attention on Washington's offense, your defense, and this defensive front. Obviously, they did so much against Alabama to control the game. How do you feel about that matchup and what the challenges that Washington presents with Penix Jr.?
Yeah, he's got the it factor. He's elite. Great receivers. Really tremendous offensive line. Washington defense, that doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, they're really good. Their secondary is so opportunistic. I mean, bunch of interceptions. I think a lot, 18, 19. They get their hands on the ball. They're really good. You know, maybe our offense doesn't get talked enough. I'll take our offense. You know, I love our offense. Love our quarterback. He also has the it factor. Washington's a thorough team. Let me say that. You know, offense, defense, special teams, and so are we. You know, the evidence is there. They've taken on all comers, and they've come out on top every single time. We've taken on all comers and come out on top every single time. So this is really, you know, best versus best, and to be the best, you got to beat the best. And we're ready to have at it.
Coach Jesse worked with your brother in Baltimore. What does Coach Jesse bring to the defense, and how does it impact the team as well?
Jesse's a great coach. He's just so smart, really cerebral, but he's so collaborative too. I mean, he gets everybody's input, and he can do it on a really timely fashion. I mean, you know, we're going to look at, you know, these formations, you know, these plays. You know, we're going to get these defensed, and, you know, get on a topic, get input, get a plan, you know, move to the next phase. He's very good about that. Very, very, very smart. Has answers, but is able to get the rest of the coaches involved. Mike Elson's had an amazing year. Our defensive line coach has been tremendous. Steve Klinkscale's done a great job. Jay Harbaugh, great job. You know, by Chris Partridge, by Rick Minter, and Jesse does a great job. You know, getting those thoughts and inputs from everybody, and putting it all together, coordinating, and then as a play caller, he is just so money, so sharp. You know, can process that information so quick and kick out the call. You know, and he's also a great players coach. I mean, he understands the players. They understand him. They know him. He knows them. I mean, just so well-rounded as a coach. I mean, he's a tremendous coach. And I would say the exact same thing about Sharon Moore. I mean, they're like cut from the same cloth. Both are going to the highest level of the profession, and I've been the whole program's been lucky to have both those guys. And Jay Harbaugh has been a tremendous special teams coordinator. And I could talk about every guy in the staff. You know, like Moses, I'm going to die leaning on my staff. They've been tremendous.
The fifth-year, sixth-year guys, Mikey might be had their last practice at Shem. Talking about, you guys all talk about the one-track mind all year. Well, this is obviously the end of the track, right? And they've been on this train ride a bit longer than everyone else. Can you just speak to their impact, the guys who came back, and just where you are at the end of this track, one way or the other with this group?
Yeah, one more phase line to go, one to achieve, one more game to go. That's where we're at. We did we did have that last practice, in Ann Arbor, and that was on Friday. Then flew here, and it is as one track mind as it can be. It's like,
ladies and gentlemen,
like a thoroughbred horse thundering down the straightaway. I mean, the blinders are on, and we see the finish line, and we're going to the whip. Just each guy, but also with a good balance too. I mean, it's a focused and a loose team at the same time. Really, kind of in the sweet spot from where I see it. But that's where we're at.
What kind of head coach is Coach Moore going to be in the future?
Tremendous. I mean, we've already seen it, right? You already got a glimpse of the shining star, that he is. He's just phenomenal. So smart, works so hard at it. Knows what it's like to be a player. Was a player, and really, really composed. Something goes wrong. I mean, 3, 2, 1, let it go. I mean, he's tremendous at that. Never better than he was in that 2-minute drive in the Rose Bowl and in overtime. Knew he had to call the game of his, the drive of his life, and he did. And saw the same thing when he's coaching it against Ohio State in the Big House. Same thing when he went to Penn State. How about that? I mean, you got to go to Penn State. You find out the day before the game that in addition to your offensive line coaching duties, your offensive coordinating play duties, and your play calling duties, you're also gonna make the head coach decisions as well. So Sharon Moore, shining star, no doubt about it. It doesn't even matter what anybody says. It's what you do. What you do speaks so loudly, can't even hear what you're saying. Yeah, so the first time I saw him as a coach, got a recommendation. He's a really good coach over at Central Michigan. He's coaching the tight ends. His name is Sharon Moore. You ought to at least bring him in and talk to him. So called him up on the phone. Sharon, this is Coach Harbaugh. Can you come over to Ann Arbor, and I want to talk to you about the tight ends job here at Michigan. Yes, Coach. We'll be over there tomorrow. So first time we sit down, we meet each other, and then I asked him just show me your technique of a zone block and a gap block for a tight end, and he jumped up and just started demonstrating and went through this teaching progression that was boom, 1, 2, 3, 4. And
ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the
rememberable,
session.
learnable.
In approximately 30 minutes, Washington's media session will begin.
Yeah, but first time I met him, I was blown away. I mean, knocked my socks off.
Coach, as you know, the atmosphere of the stadium can more or less affect the players on the field. Is it a relief to a sense knowing that you're not playing Texas because it would have been a home field turf for them?
I mean, I don't know about relief. That hasn't been the word that's popped into my mind watching the film and watching the tape of the Washington Huskies. Relief has not been no, that's not the word that has jumped into my mind.